Hello, I'm SKZ and welcome to Hops of Steel, where a quirkless Izuku tries to imitate Mirko's quirk, creating bunny mechanical accessories like ears, legs, and even a tail.
You don't have a quirk. Those words could have been very harsh for others, destroying anyone at such a young age.
But not for Izuku.
A boy who has always dreamed of being a hero, and who is told he has no quirk, is not going to stop until he achieves his dream. One thing he learned from watching All Might so much was that he should never give up.
So why contradict him? He never cared about not having a quirk, especially when he got home from his doctor's appointment that day. No, he went straight to see All Might to cheer himself up a little. He didn't cry, although his mother did. His mother forgave herself so many times that his little heart began to feel a little overwhelmed. "Mommy, don't cry. I'll be a hero with or without a quirk," he reassured her with sweet words, moving his little feet dangling from the chair.
His mother smiled at him. Izuku turned his gaze back to the computer.
And well, how could he give up? He began to look for other ways to be what he so longed to be.
That night he stayed at his computer, humming until he found a heroine.
A heroine who looked so strong.
Although he couldn't read perfectly, he managed to see that her name was Mirko and her quirk was that of a rabbit.
He was very interested.
His little mind had never seen such a strong rabbit quirk. All the ones he knew were from stories where they were weak. So he continued his research, his little hand moving over the mouse, clicking.
However, he didn't realize how much time had passed, although
he didn't know how to read the time perfectly either. It wasn't until his mother called him from the doorway, still sobbing a little, but with a big, warm smile on her face.
"Izuku, go to sleep.
It's already midnight,"
she said.
Izuku sighed.
He didn't want to resist or throw a tantrum.
His mother had already been through a lot today, so all he did was nod and turn off his computer.
His mother smiled at him from the doorway and approached him, lifting him up by his armpits.
"Okay boy, time for bed." Izuku sighed, but he didn't kick and scream.
He just let himself be put to bed. The next day, Izuku had to go to his kindergarten.
He already knew how the day was going to go.
He didn't want to go because everyone was going to show off their quirks now, but he couldn't show off anything.
His mother forced him to go though, and when he got there, he didn't want to let go of his mother's hand.
"Izuku, go inside,"
his mother begged him, trying to free her hand.
However, Izuku wouldn't let go, tears now filling his eyes. Everything was so great when he was the only one who knew he didn't have a quirk.
Not the others, that wasn't great.
"But mommy, I don't want to go,"
he cried to his mother, squeezing her hand and then going to hug her.
Inko chuckled, bending down to give him a gentle hug. "My love, go inside. It doesn't matter what others say about whether or not you have a quirk. The important thing is that you are my little hero." Izuku froze.
He lowered his head, a blush rising to his cheeks, erasing any trace of sadness.
"Hero?" he whispered questioningly, barely parting his lips. Inko nodded. "Yes, as long as your desire to be a hero remains inside you, you will always be my little hero."
Izuku looked up and smiled, as big as the one All Might showed in the videos he loved so much.
"Then I'll be the best hero for you," he said, almost shouting. Inko laughed.
"Well, go on, my little hero. Conquer the kindergarten."
Izuku nodded and ran into the kindergarten.
Oh, at first it was gentle, everyone playing, shouting, running.
Until the moment came when they began to show off their quirks, gathering in a small group where Izuku watched enthusiastically from afar. And so the day went on, or at least most of it, with each child receiving praise from the teachers, pats on the head, gifts, sweets, until it was Izuku's turn. "It's your turn, Izuku," a blonde-haired boy shouted, pointing at him with his finger. It was Katsuki, his best friend. Izuku trembled a little, blushing.
"And my quirk hasn't activated yet."
Everyone turned to look at him. Katsuki raised one of his small eyebrows and crossed his arms.
"Activated? Or could it be that you don't have a quirk?" Izuku lowered his head. Well, he had no more excuses, nothing more to say. Then he felt.
Watched. And he was. His classmates, his teachers, everyone was watching him. He felt out of place, like an ant, unable to speak, his hands tingling and his eyes burning. "You're quirkless,"
Katsuki exclaimed, breaking the silence that had filled the room until then, with a big arrogant smile crossing his face. And Izuku had no choice but to nod. Katsuki let out a cruel laugh, followed by whispers that began to fill the kindergarten.
And that was when Izuku's ordeal began, one that would last for years.
First, every day he went to the kindergarten. They bullied him, separating him from the others because they saw him as something special.
They called him names, gave him nicknames, took his toys away, and used him for their quirks. But something that hurt his little heart, which added fuel to the fire, was the day Katsuki, the one he considered his friend, told him that the kanji in his name sounded like the word useless. That was one afternoon. They weren't alone anymore. They were with some lackeys that Katsuki had gotten from God knows where.
They were standing by a pond when Katsuki uttered those much appreciated words mentioned above.
Izuku lowered his head, hurt by these cruel words he had never expected, while his 3 classmates laughed and pointed at him.
But more than that afternoon he learned something. He was not going to be weak anymore.
He was going to prove that he was strong, that he could be a hero like everyone else, and more than that, he was going to be a better hero than all those out there.
So, with determination, one night he decided to turn on his computer and began to research. First about quirks that could be inherited, like the innocent child who believed that was possible. After finding nothing but fictional stories, he moved on to something more real, exercise. He became more interested in Mirko as soon as he saw that his quirk was accompanied by his exercise routine, and even if he remained quirkless, he could still fight.
Izuku smiled then, his eyes lighting up when he saw the heroine.
But he got distracted.
A little. He started watching the interviews, then moved on to the fights.
His mind began to work like an artificial machine, compiling all the attacks, all the techniques, all the weaknesses.
Ah yes, this was little Izuku's best ability, analysis. This was such a good ability that many thought his quirk would be related to something to do with intelligence. But it turned out to be nothing more than his own intelligence. The boy then continued his meticulous search, his analysis, and after what felt like hours, he found it, or rather, he refocused on what was coming.
However, this time it wasn't a common exercise, it was Mirko's routine.
He clicked on the first video.
Routine with the rabbit heroine Mirko.
His eyes lit up even more, a toothy smile shining on his face.
Then the video started. At first, Mirko showed of his muscles, proud of them. Then he moved on to the first leg exercise.
Izuku tilted his head, very curious.
Then he looked down at his thin legs, noticing that they weren't as strong as Mirko's.
He frowned and kicked his foot. "I am too skinny," he said to himself, pausing the video to look at Mirko's muscles. He pressed his lips together and played the video again. This time, he carefully observed every leg movement the heroine made, analyzing which muscle was used and how it moved. He stayed there for hours, researching between routines, until he had watched almost 100 videos.
When he finished, he got up from his chair excitedly, starting to kick little kicks in the air. Then he remembered that Mirko used to use what was that?
A pillow? It was something that was hanging from the ceiling. But Izuku didn't have that thing. So he went to his bed, took the pillow, and leaned it against the wall.
"I'm sorry, Mr. Pillow," he said to the pillow, as if it could even hear him. Then he took 1, 2, 3 steps back.
He sighed and lifted his right foot, giving the pillow a gentle kick that barely moved it. Izuku frowned, seeing that the kick had hurt him more than it had hurt the pillow.
"No, I am not weak," he said to himself angrily, lifting his foot to kick the pillow again.
This time it didn't hurt as much as the last time, but the pillow did sink a little.
He smiled when he saw this and kicked it again, this time harder, sinking the pillow even further. His smile grew wider with each kick he gave the pillow, and he didn't stop until the door opened and his mother came in holding a tray of cookies.
"Izuku, honey, what are you doing?" his mother asked curiously, setting the tray aside.
Izuku looked up at her.
"I was training.
I want to be a hero like Mirko."
Inko tilted her head and lifted him up by his armpits. This time, however, Izuku resisted, kicking his legs. Mommy, let me train," he whined. Inko laughed and sat down on the bed, placing the little boy on her lap.
"That's not how it's done, little one. But wait and see. I'll become your very own assistant, so you can be the best hero in the whole world."
And she touched the tip of his nose.